Hey, you got me. I am DJ Strick, and this is the Streamers Hub Monday night. We are about to go in. Hey, I'm really ready to have a great time because I know this particular show, whether you're watching it live or in the replay, is very important to you. The best camera for live streaming. So every time I get a chance to see videos that's talking about the best camera, this is something that is said. Quote from Sean Cannell: the best camera is the one you already have. So I've answered the question before we even gotten started. Now, that's some Sean Cannell really wants people to get started with live video or with video period, because he feels like that way you can get the most engagement on YouTube. If you're on YouTube, you got to do video, right? Of course, there are videos or out there without your face on it, but for the most of us, we want to do some type of video where we could be seen, that our brand could be seen, and people will get more awareness of who we are because we're showing up on camera. That being said, to get started, you want to use anything that you have, and iPhone 7 right here, the camera that's on the back, even I don't know how old this camera would be. Of course, we're on iPhone 14, so 7 models ago, this camera is 4K. So you can easily take out your cell phone. In this case, the best camera is always on the back, of course, and shoot this way, something that you're seeing, and get great 4K video. Let me see, not great, but you get decent 4K video out of a phone like this. And I'll tell you later, we're going to talk about sensor size inside of the video today that will help you understand why, even though iPhone has come out with iPhone 14 has a cinematic mode or cinema mode, and it is incredible. Okay. It is really, really nice. And because of the sensor size, the camera is actually doing the bokeh or the blurring of the background itself. And you're able to see that a little bit. It's great now. The technology is awesome, and you get great pictures, but it's not like having one of the cameras here actually do it for you. So today we're going to talk about the different cameras that you can use. We're going to talk about what I will really give, right? To be honest with you, a lot of times people don't give their opinion. I'm going to give my opinion and my advice about the best camera out there for streaming. I'm going to do that today. Now, of course, the best camera to get started with is the one that you have. So don't allow the information you get today stop you from creating content with the camera that you have. And if you have a cell phone with a camera, you have a good enough camera to get started today. Let me make that very clear. You could go today and actually get started creating video by just using your camera. So I want to say hello to Erica. Thank you so very much for hanging out with me. Physics, thank you so very much for being up today. This is going to be a great show. I'm really excited about talking about this. Again, I hear people go over this topic all the time, and they always leave it up to you on which the best one is. And I'm going to give like my real deal opinion about what I think the best camera is. Now, it may not be the best camera for you, but it's the best camera I think could be used for live streaming. That being the case, let's go down the list. Let's talk about what's available on the market right now. I am absolutely ready to go, and we're starting right now. That being said, I want to talk about, we're not starting right now. I want to talk about something else really quick before I get started, and it is about joining our Streamers Partnership Program. So here at OneStream, we're looking for streamers just like you, or content creators that will be part of the streaming community here at OneStream. All you have to do is email your profile at content@OneStream Live. It's really that simple. Again, content@OneStream Live. That's where we need you to send your profile in an email so you can be looked at, be approved, but we are asking that you join our team. If you're out there and you're seeing all the amazing things that I'm getting the opportunity to do with OneStream, or you're seeing Erica, or you're seeing Steven, and you want to be a part of that team, just email us. It is really simple. That being said, let's jump right into the best camera for live streaming. And I'm exactly where I want to be, right here in the corner. And I'm going to go through these slides today, and I guarantee you, you're going to learn something. All right? You will learn something. So I want to get started with first the webcam. So there are people that are still using a webcam. So the Logitech Brio C290, I think. Yeah, there's another Logitech webcam. And guess what? These webcams are able to do 4K video. Okay, I will not start with the camera that's on your laptop. I know the statement is start with whether you have your cell phone is better than the camera that's on your laptop. Okay, so even the placement of that camera, I'm telling you guys the truth. Let me get to a place where you can see me here. I'm telling you the truth. You're hearing it from DJ Strick. That use your phone over than using the webcam camera that came laptop or MacBook Pro or whatever you got. I'm telling you, if you use your phone, you get a better quality camera. All right. And even the placement, you can place your phone in a better position than you on the laptop. I mean, you've seen the people that are looking at the laptop and they're looking down at the laptop. That's not the way you want to be visible, whether it's a Zoom meeting or you're doing some type of live conversation. You want to come and be like me, look directly into the camera, and the camera should always be at eye level for you to where people will see you and they'll see that confidence when you look in the camera, or you be like DJ Strick and give them that big DJ Strick smile. Love that. So I started with webcam for a reason, because that's, sometimes this is the easiest thing to get to. And I think the Logitech Brio, I'm talking about brands and model numbers, I think it's a great webcam. There's so many others out there right now. So Elgato came out with Facecam. So it is, I guess it's somewhat competing with the Brio Logitech. And they're great webcams. You can get great color out of them. You can get great. I think the Facecam even has a feature where you can kind of blur out the background. And of course, there are other ways that you can blur the background, even if you're using something like this. If you want to get that blurred effect, let me show you how that is done. I want to come back full screen, and inside of OneStream Studio, there is a way use some camera settings, and I can go and use effects, and let me see if I can blur this background, what it actually looks like. Okay, here. Let's go to the second one. Okay, you see what it looks like there? Pretty cool, huh? Gives it a slight blur. Now my camera is already blurring the background just a little bit, so now it's an additional blur. So if you were using a webcam where it makes everything kind of flat, blurring the background here would be a really cool feature. Now it's a little overkill for me because my background is already blurred a little bit, but you get the idea, right? So I think that's really cool, and you can do that right inside of OneStream Studio. All right, so if you got a webcam and you want to blur your background, just go into the Studio Effects and then blur them a little bit. Okay, so that's just something to kind of give you a little tidbit of what's available for you if that's what you want to do. The next thing I want to talk about when it comes to cameras, which are really exciting cameras, action. So you see a GoPro here. GoPro is not the only DJI has a really good action camera, almost for less than half the price of a GoPro. But GoPros have been the industry standard when it comes to what they look like, the quality, the durability, all of that with these webcams. So why am I bringing this up when it comes to live streaming? Because it is a option, just like webcams are an option. You could put it on a tripod in front of you and actually stream from a GoPro or an action camera and get really good color and quality. So just because it didn't have a changeable lens doesn't mean that it's not going to give you quality. You can actually buy a couple of GoPros or action cameras and set them up inside of your studio and have a multiple camera setup inside of your studio just using these products. I'm telling you, you have to be very thoughtful about what's out there because it actually could work for you. So let's go to the next thing. Digital single lens reflex camera, DSLR. All right, so I just spelled it out. So sometimes you'll hear digital DSLR and nobody knows what that really means. Digital single lens reflex camera. So what is the reflex? It is a mirror inside of the camera that is being showed and flipped inside of the camera to get an image on the sensor. It's really that simple. All right, digital single lens reflex camera. All right, that's for the DSLR, and they're still out there. I'm bringing this up because I think the DSLR cameras are still a great budget pick. All right, versus the next thing you're going to see. When I say budget pick, you can get very good quality on a nice sensor camera doing the DSLR, because everything has gone to the next one, which is the mirrorless camera. So I want everybody to know this. Mirrorless cameras have basically taken over. All right. They have basically taken over. People get great photo shots, which of course we're live streamers, and I'm talking about live streaming cameras, but these cameras that are digital now have the ability to get very good photo quality videos. So you no longer need the mirror flipping on the inside of the camera. And now cameras are much, much smaller because they don't have to have that mechanism inside flipping the mirrors. It's really that simple. Guys, trust me, it is that simple. Not only do you're getting a smaller camera, but it costs less to make that camera, and prices have come way down based off of removing the mechanism that actually rotated on the inside to flip. That being said, something like a Canon M50 Mark II, great purchase. When we talk about mirrorless cameras, we could talk about the A series, so A60, A6000, 6400, 6600 from Sony. It's really good. And then, of course, they have the EV10, and all of those are mirrorless cameras that you can use to get a great quality video, okay? So when we talk about all of these cameras, from webcams to action cameras to DSLRs to mirrorless cameras, that is really the options that you have. And of course, you have your phone to use that gets really good quality, but I can actually throw the phone in the webcam. So you got a webcam, you have an action camera, you have a DSLR, then you have a mirrorless camera, and these are all options again for you. Majority of the cameras that you're going to see out right now are what we call, well, let me just go over the sensors. And then with the sensors, you can figure out from there what you're seeing mostly. Why am I bringing this up? I'm bringing the sensors up because from your phone and a webcam and an action cam, you have a very small sensor to be able to get light to give you a great quality video. So when I talk about webcams, when I talk about phones, when I talk about action cameras, I know that the action camera for, oh, let me get to the place I need to be and get over to the right so you can see all of this. Down at the bottom here, you have 1x7. So I know today by looking up the latest GoPro, I think it's the 11, it is 1.9. So 1 by 1.9 sensor, just really this sensor size here, you can see is what the sensor size, and of course these are not to size, these are not scaled to size, but you can see based off this how much smaller this sensor is compared to a full frame sensor. Okay, and you got one that's a 1 by 2.3, 3.2, and then you have what a lot of people are using is APS-C sensor size. So you're gonna have that with the Canons. You're gonna have that with Sony that I'm talking about today, and I'm really thinking that these two brands are leaders. All right, so Panasonic, the Lumix cameras, they're using a Micro Four Thirds. So you can see the size difference between those two. And then you have a 1-inch sensor. When we're talking about the cell phones right now, as you can tell, the cell phones are going to be at the bottom of this list based off sensor size, but you still get great quality from them. Then you have an HP. I don't hear a lot of people talking about the APS-H size sensor, but it is available out there. And then you have the full frame sensor. So basically, people are going from the APS-C to the full frame, looking at options for them to purchase a camera. All right. So DSLRs are out there in full frame. You do have some full frame mirrorless cameras. There are not full frame action cameras. They're not full frame or APS-C action cameras or webcams. And you can tell from looking at this the size and what the difference is made. The larger the sensor, the light you can get in to get a very good quality picture. Being said, with the sensor, you're going to need the next thing, all right? Because I'm talking about lights and getting light in. And the thing that you get the most light in is the right type of lens for whatever camera you have. So when I talk about the best camera, guys, I can't just talk about cameras and not talk about lens. The type lens that you are using is important for whatever camera that you have. My webcam doesn't have a lens. You're not able to dial it in. So whatever length you're at, you're having to move the webcam closer or away from you to get focal length for what you're doing. Same thing with the action camera. You can't dial it in because it doesn't have a lens. So cameras that have the lens that you can detach and put on, I'm telling you, that is one of the ways to go, because if you're even slightly moving in your studio and need the camera either closer to you or away from you, having different lens that you can use on that camera makes the difference. Okay, guys, it really makes a difference. And then I can't not talk about cameras that you can get, the lens that you can get, without talking about what kind of lighting setup that you have. Because even with a webcam, I think that you could get away with a Brio webcam. You can get away with it if you have tons of light you could throw at it. I mean, just you have to spend your money somewhere. You're gonna have to spend money. So you can buy this crazy lighting setup, which you can use with any camera. So the more light you have, I don't care if it's a full frame camera, the better you're gonna look. But if you use a webcam, definitely you're gonna have to give that more light. The sensor size is so small. I need to go back to these sensor sizes. I really want you guys to take a look at this. From full frame to APS-C, that's where you're going to see a lot of the full frame cameras are very expensive. Okay, they're very expensive. You're going to see a lot of the APS-C, and then, like I said, Panasonic, and Lumix, they're using this Micro Four Thirds, which is also a great camera size. And then, of course, you got the webcams, you got the cell phones, and their sensor size is there, but this is what it really looks like. Okay, so I want to move forward. We talk lens and lighting is important. You need to give those smaller webcams, your phone, all of those things need to have more lights. Okay, so I just went to question and answer, but I also wanted to give you like my recommendation. I started inside of my creative shows or my content that I was doing, I started using a Sony SL3. Okay, Sony SL3 is a DSLR camera which has the mirror on the inside that flips. Take a picture, it flips. Okay, that's where you hear the noise inside of a camera because it's flipping. Well, that camera worked well for me. I used a 18 to 35 millimeter lens on it, so I have it where it's probably arm lengths away from me, and so I can still touch it while I'm in the studio. But that's what I started with, and now I have the Sony A6400 with a Sigma 16 millimeter lens, and that's the quality that this camera is giving me. The Canon, I was going from the camera to my computer using USB, and now from the Sony, I'm the capture card. So no matter webcam will come in through USB, the Action Cam and all the others may need something like this, what we call a capture card. On one side is USB that goes into your computer, and it's HDMI that you would need to plug in from your camera, this, and then this converts over USB. I'm giving a lot of information today. I hope you guys are catching this because this really does help. This, of course, is the Cam Link from Elgato and industry standard right here. There are some that you can find that are much cheaper than this, but run the risk of it not being produced very well and the quality of it. So the recommendation is always to try to find this, and if you need a backup, to use some of those ones you can find on Amazon that are much cheaper as a backup. So that being said, let me see if there are any questions here, because I haven't got to it, but I will get to my recommendation. But I want to see if I'm missing any questions so far. So I always thought it was digital sliding lens reflex. So you got the information today. Hooray for Canon. Canon is a really, really good camera. And thank you, Erica, for hanging out with me tonight. You're always a great supporter of what we're doing here. Can you recommend a lighting kit? So, good question. Lighting. If you're not ready to upgrade before you upgrade your camera, okay, even off of my recommendation, I'm going to give you, before you upgrade your camera, upgrade your lighting, okay? Upgrade your lighting. So I would show it here, but inside of my studio, I have a SL60. It's a Godox XL60, all right? What I call my key light that is at a 45-degree angle right in front of me here, and I have a big honeycomb reflector covering over it, so it is giving me like this light without a shadow hitting the wall. Okay, does that make sense? So sometimes you can have a light inside of your studio and it can be so hard that it gives you a reflection off the wall. You don't want that. You want to be able to diffuse that with using the right word, diffuser. And I have a honeycomb diffuser, so all of the light in the direction towards me, and I'm taking the light and it's not flying all over the place. I hope that makes sense. All right. And I like to have, I have several lights inside of the studio. I do have a hair light, and I do have lights hitting the back wall and all of that. And I do have what we call a fill light, which is coming on the other side facing here. So I can at least reach around. Let me see if I can turn this on and see if I can turn these lights off, and you get an idea, even with my best Sony camera, what it looks like or what it would look like if I turn the lights off. Let me see if I can do it. There it is. My fill light is still on, okay? But this is the key light that I turned off. And now let me see if I can turn this off. All right, so this is what I look like without lights. Even with the Sony that's giving me this great 4K picture, all of that, if I'm not properly lit, okay, if I'm not properly lit, it's still not going to work. Okay. Now turning these lights off make the background look so much better, but I gotta turn it back on. So I'm gonna start with my key light because I actually started turning the key light off first. So I'm gonna show you what it looks like without the field light. So key light is on and you can tell. So it has what they call that rim. Okay. You know what I'm talking about. It's the light where this side of my face is being hit and it gives a shadow on this end. So what I want to do with my lighting is not to fill it all the way to where it's full. I just want to fill it just a little bit to where there is a shadow, but it's just a very slight shadow to where you still understand it from this way, and it's just a feel here. So if you didn't want to get a feel light, you should be able to use some type of white reflector or a mirror reflector that you can purchase, one of the flimsy kind, and put it to the side, and the light will bounce off and hit you on this side. I know it's a lot of information, but it really could, really would work for you. Okay. So that being said, let me turn this back on because I can actually do this by my hand and you can see what the field light looks like. Okay. Still a slight shadow on this side coming this way, slightly darker here than my key light, just to give some depth to the camera. And of course, the lighting in the background helps me get depth from the background. Okay. Now, I'm still working on my background. There's so much stuff to do in the studio, but it still gives you the illusion of depth by having the extra light hitting me in different places here. You guys can barely see this, but right here, there's actually a blue light here that's hitting me from the side as well. I don't know. I just do a lot of stuff in the studio, and I think it's really cool. Okay, so lighting is important, especially if you're using a webcam, an action cam, or your phone. And regardless of that, even with a full frame camera, you want to have quality lighting. Now, with a larger sensor, it could use less lighting and still give you a picture like this. So I can turn down my lights if I had a full frame sensor or full frame camera that I was running. That's why people really like the idea of having a full frame. So basically, if I did have a full frame camera going now, the picture would be a little wider. You'd be able to get from my hands here, you'd be able to see my hands inside of the frame if I did have a full frame camera. So by it being a APS-C camera, it is cropped in a little bit based off the 16 millimeter. I hope that answered your question, Erica. So thank you for adding that inside of the chat. And guys, if you do have questions, just go to I'll do my best to go back to this video. If you're watching this question, to be able to answer some of those questions so you can get, you're not in the live recording of this. Okay. That being said, what I want to do now is talk about the camera that I do recommend, guys. And I don't like telling people like what to buy based off their budget because anything could be expensive to people. But I also be fair to you and give you a real recommendation that I feel like you would have a step up or it would definitely be an upgrade for most people to get this camera. And it's not a camera, it's not a $3,000 camera or anything like that. So very comfortable in recommending this. So I am going to share my, and now you see it. Let me get to the side that I'm at. The Sony ZV-E10. And I probably call this thing that ZVS10. I don't know. I've called it a bunch of names, but the ZV-E10 is the name of this camera. And it does have a new sensor inside of the camera. It is APS-C. To streaming and for simple, this is a great camera. You can already tell it has the flip out um, pop viewer so you can actually see yourself. It has on the top of it for your mic the dead cat that comes with it. And I just think that this camera, it checks all the boxes. So the camera that I have right now, the Sony A6400, this sensor in the ZV-E upgrade to this. All right, is a new technology, new sensor, all of that. So it is much better than what you're seeing me at already. And again, the eye, of course, of beauty is in the beholder. So you could see a 6400 and dial it in better than me and get a better picture. Okay, but that being said, these cameras, the A6400 and the ZV-E10, are somewhere around the same price point, and they have mounting, so I can still use the Sigma 16 millimeter on the ZV-E10 and get just a little bit sharper picture because of sensor. All right, so this is my recommendation. If you're out there and you're saying, okay, I see what you're talking about, see it, potentially you can get the vlog kit for it, and it does have the ability for you to have multiple lenses for it. So that's a great option. Okay, and it just have different things you could do with it. Okay, I like the fact that my camera, the way I use it inside of the studio, guys, I don't move it. Like this camera sits here, I do not move. This camera, I am not fooling with it. I don't want to make a mistake, change the settings. I don't have clients that I have to go shoot, none of that. So I am talking about a camera that you can use. Mine is connected to the desk. You can get a tripod, however you want to connect it to your computer and give you a very good quality picture. But if you know how to dial it in, guys, I'm telling you, ZV-E10 is the route. Now, of course, you have to buy the body and then you have to buy a lens. And the lens that you purchase is based on the space that you have inside of your studio. Now, I recommend the Sigma 16 millimeter, but you may have more space. You may be able to go to the Sigma 30 or 35 or even 50, depending on how you want your shot to look and how much space you have inside of your studio. I'm going over the whole thing. Like if you were sitting right here, this is exactly what I would tell you. Okay. I'm not beating around the bush. Most people wouldn't tell you what camera to get. I am telling you exactly the best camera for live streaming right now. And I shoot with Canon as well, but the Sony has it. Okay, they have the camera, they have everything you need to be able to plug in your computer with the right lighting and the right setup on the camera, like how you dial it in. You can get a great picture, and people are going to be asking you, how do you look that good on camera? And you're going to say, it's all in the Sony. You can use a Canon and get great pictures as well. This ZV-E10 is really new. I think it came out last year, and it is awesome. That being said, Sony just released a new cinema camera that uses the same size sensor. I'm saying the same size sensor because it's not the same sensor, upgraded sensor to the one that's in the EV10. It also has the ability to be a great streaming camera as well, but the price point from $700 to the ZV-E10 to about $1,700 to the X30, the Sony FX30 that was just released. They're very comparable, but the Sony X30 is a cinema line camera. So some additional features if you're shooting and you want to like do some color grading, that camera will allow you to do that. Okay, it will allow you to even input your own LUTs inside of the camera, so when you're filming you don't have to go back and color grade. The camera actually color grade for you. It's a little bit more robust, costs a little bit more money than the ZVE10. That's why I recommend for streaming the ZVE10, and it is, again, a phenomenal camera, and I feel like it's the best one for live streamers right now. All right, tell me what you think, whether you do it in the comments or you hit me up and say, Strick, I don't know. There are other cameras. There's tons of other cameras out there. I love the Panasonic. Was that they have several different ones, but the S5 is a great camera. People talk about the autofocus on there. I like to manually focus my stuff anyway, but you want to get the best so you don't have problems. And Sony right now is leading in the area for live streamers. If you're a live streamer that likes to do photography, there may be some other cameras out there that may suit you a little better than the ZVE10. But I'm talking to all of the people that want to live stream. You need to add to your budget. First thing, your lighting. Increase your lighting with the camera that you have now. Get the very best shot out of the camera that you have, and then invest in a new camera, understanding what you need. Okay, guys, understanding, like, I need to dial it in this way. I have tons of stuff inside of the studio, cameras and lenses, all this stuff. It seems really, really cool. Even my old iPhone that I can use at the top-down shot, like all of this are things that you can do inside of your studio. You need to find out what's best for you, and I feel like I made a really, really good recommendation today. Okay, that being said, if you're a content creator and it's like, hey, Strick, I got it all taken care of. I am the man inside of this studio. We want to know who you are. Join our streaming partnership program by emailing content@onestream.live. Again, that's content@onestream.live. And I would love for you to join our team and be a part of the content creator and streamers program. Okay. No other question inside the chat. Listen, it's been a great night. I put my name on the line for a Sony camera. Like, who knew I would do that? But I do recommend it. And if I had a chance to do it again, or if it's me, and the next time that I upgrade, I'm going to buy two so I can get different views, and the same color signs will be in those cameras. So that's just how I would do it. If you're asking me what Strick would you do? Okay, that being said, it's been great tonight, guys. You can always catch me on Facebook or on Instagram. On Facebook is dj.strick. On Instagram is Strick City. Find me, inbox me. I would love to communicate with you. We are one big happy family here on the Streamers Hub. So without any further ado, why not see you guys next Monday night? 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I had to think about, when do I come on? Hey, guys, have a good night. Hey, this is DJ Strick, and I've had an awesome time with you today. Thank you for watching another edition of the Streamers Hub right here on OneStream Live.